It's your turn to enter this coffin.
Blood of Jesus, I reject it, not my portion.
You must enter this coffin within 3 days.
My name is Precious, a 22-year-old girl living with my parents in a crowded street in the city. Our street was never quiet. From morning till night, the road was filled with noise. Traders shouting prices, motorcycles rushing past, buses honking endlessly, and workers moving in and out of the many companies along the road. The air often smelled of dust, roasted corn, and sometimes refuse dumped along the gutters. But there was another thing our street was known for: the mad people. No matter how many times the government tried to chase them away, they always found their way back. Some of them begged, some wandered around talking to themselves, some just slept by the roadside. But among all of them, one woman stood out more than the others. Everyone knew her. Children feared her, yet they loved to mock her. She was a thin, dark woman in her early 40s, with tangled, dread-like hair and clothes so torn and dirty that no one could even tell their original color. Her eyes always looked tired, like someone who had seen too much suffering. But what made her different from every other mad person was the coffin. Every single day, she walked slowly through the street with a small wooden coffin balanced on her head. Nobody knew where she got it.
Wait, before we continue, smash that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss amazing African folktale stories like this. Hit the like button if this story moved you. It really helps our channel grow. Comment below. Tell us where you're watching from and which part of the story touched you the most. I want to see all your thoughts. And if you're craving more African folktales, check out the Bumped app on the Play Store. Hundreds of stories waiting for you. Okay, now let's get back to the story.
Nobody knew why she carried it, yet she never dropped it, not even once. Children would follow her in groups, clapping and singing mockery songs. Look at the woman with the box, the woman with the dead man's box. They would dance around her and laugh. But the strange thing was, she never reacted. She never chased them. She never shouted. She simply walked slowly, like someone who was moving toward a destination only she could see. Most people ignored her. Others pitied her. But nobody ever imagined that one day she would call someone by name. That day started like every other Sunday. I had gone to church with my parents in the morning. After the service ended, my parents went home early, but I stayed behind for choir practice. By the time we finished rehearsing, the sun was already blazing hot in the afternoon sky. As I walked home, sweat rolled down my back, and all I could think about was the rice my mother promised to cook for lunch. I was already imagining the smell of the stew when I finally reached our compound gate. But just as I was about to step inside, I heard my name. Precious. The voice was dry, slow, and strangely deep. I froze. Slowly, I turned around. And that was when I saw her, the mad woman, standing a few meters away from the gate, the coffin still balanced perfectly on her head. But something was different. Her eyes. They were no longer empty. They were sharp, focused directly at me. She took a slow step forward. Then she spoke again. Precious. My heart began to pound. Then she said something that made my entire body go cold. It is your turn. She paused. Her voice dropped into a whisper that somehow felt louder than a scream. To enter this coffin. For a moment, my brain refused to understand what I had just heard. I thought maybe she was joking. Maybe she was playing the same game the children always played with her. But something inside me felt very wrong. A cold shiver crawled down my spine. God forbid, I shouted quickly. Back to sender. I snapped my fingers over my head like my mother always did when rejecting bad words. Then I ran. I didn't wait to hear anything else. I rushed into the compound and slammed the door behind me. Inside the living room, my parents were sitting on the couch. My mother was fanning herself with a newspaper. "Mommy, Daddy," I said breathlessly, "you won't believe what that mad woman just told me." My father adjusted his glasses. "What happened?" I swallowed hard. "She called my name and said it's my turn to enter her coffin." My mother jumped up instantly. "Blood of Jesus," she shouted. "That woman is completely mad. She should stay far away from my daughter." My father tried to calm the situation. "Don't mind her," he said. "She's mentally unstable. She doesn't know what she's saying." But even as he spoke, I noticed something strange. He looked worried. And honestly, so was I. Because deep down, I remembered something. About 4 months earlier, the same mad woman had said something similar to a young man in the street. A young man who lived at the far end of the road. Back then, everyone laughed about it. They said she was just rambling nonsense. But 2 weeks later, the young man died. Nobody knew exactly how. Some said it was illness, others said it was an accident. But ever since then, people started whispering about the mad woman and her coffin. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I went to my room and sat on my bed staring at the wall. The house was quiet, but my mind was loud. "God, please," I whispered softly. "I'm still young. I don't want to die." Tears rolled down my face as I prayed. Eventually, exhaustion took over, and I fell into a restless sleep. The next morning, my father was preparing to drive me to school. I tried to act normal as I packed my books, but my hands were trembling. "Precious," my father called from the living room. "Are you ready? We must not be late." "I'm coming, Daddy." We walked toward the gate together, but the moment we opened it, both of us froze. Right in front of the gate was a coffin. Not the small, rough one the woman usually carried. This one was newly carved, smooth wood, fresh, and written boldly across the lid with black charcoal were the words, "Precious, this is for you." My heart nearly stopped. I couldn't breathe. My father's face turned red with rage. Before I could say anything, he kicked the coffin violently. The wood cracked apart instantly. "Where is that crazy woman?" he shouted. "If she was here, she would be the one entering this coffin today." He broke the coffin into pieces and threw them into the gutter. Then he pointed to the car. "Enter the car now." I obeyed silently. But as we drove toward my school, one question kept repeating in my mind again and again. What exactly did that mad woman want from me? And why was my name written on that coffin? That entire day in school, my mind refused to settle. The lecturer kept writing on the chalkboard, explaining something about economics, but the words meant nothing to me. I was staring at the board, yet I wasn't seeing it. All I could see in my head was that coffin and the charcoal words written on it. "Precious, this is for you." My chest tightened every time the image came back. During break time, I sat under the big mango tree beside the school field with my best friend, Delight. Delight had been my friend since secondary school. She was the kind of person who laughed at everything and believed nothing bad could ever happen. So I decided to tell her everything. From the moment the mad woman called my name to the coffin placed in front of our gate that morning. At first, she burst out laughing. "Precious, please stop it. Which Nollywood film did you watch last night?" I frowned. "I'm serious." She stared at me for a moment, trying to see if I was joking. But when she saw the fear in my eyes, her smile slowly disappeared. "You mean she actually called your name?" "Yes." "And she said it's your turn to enter the coffin?" I nodded slowly. Delight leaned back against the tree and folded her arms. "Listen to me," she said softly. "Fear can make small things look big. That woman is sick. She's not a prophet and she's not a killer." Then she smiled. "Just pray and forget about it. God is bigger than any mad woman on the street." I forced a small smile. "I hope you are right." Later that afternoon, I returned home. The street looked normal again. Traders shouting, motorcycles racing past, children playing football in the dusty road. It felt almost as if the strange events of the morning had never happened. For the rest of that evening, nothing unusual occurred. I didn't see the mad woman anywhere. Not on the road, not near the shops, not even near the gutter where she sometimes slept. By nightfall, I began to relax a little. Maybe the light was right. Maybe I was just overthinking. Maybe the mad woman had simply wandered off to another part of the city. But 3 days later, something happened that shook the entire street. That evening, I was returning from the market with a bag of tomatoes and pepper when I saw a crowd gathered at the end of the road. People were standing together, whispering in low voices. Whenever something like that happened on our street, it usually meant only one thing: bad news. I approached a woman who lived 2 houses away from ours. "Auntie, what happened?" She shook her head slowly. "You haven't heard? You haven't heard what?" She leaned closer and lowered her voice. "That mad woman with the coffin." My heart skipped. What about her? She died last night. For a moment, I just stared at her. Died? Yes. A car knocked her down while she was crossing the road late at night. I stood there quietly as the crowd continued murmuring. Part of me felt sad. After all, she was still a human being. But another part of me felt something else. Freedom. Maybe now the strange warnings would end. Maybe now the coffin mystery would end. Maybe my life would return to normal. That night, I slept better than I had in days. For the first time since the mad woman spoke to me, I felt safe. But I had no idea that the real nightmare had not even begun.
Wait! You can enjoy more stories from our Bombed app on Play Store. Go over to Play Store, search for Bombed, install the app instantly for free. Hundreds of stories waiting for you to watch absolutely for free. Or check the description of this video. The app link is there. Open it and download Bombed app instantly today. See you on Bombed.
Because the next day, I would see something that would make my blood run cold. Something that would make me question whether the mad woman was truly dead or whether her warning had only just begun. The next morning, the entire street was still talking about the mad woman. Some people pitied her. Others were simply relieved. "She has finally stopped disturbing the street," one shop owner said. Since she had no known family, the local community decided to bury her quickly. There was no funeral, no relatives, no prayers from crying family members, just a few men from the neighborhood who volunteered to dig a grave in a small bush behind the street. When I heard they were going to bury her, curiosity pushed me to follow them. Part of me wanted to see her one last time. Part of me wanted to be sure that she was truly gone. When I arrived at the bush, about 10 people were already there. 2 men were digging the grave while others stood around watching. The mad woman's lifeless body lay on the ground beside them, covered with an old cloth. Her tangled hair spread across the dusty earth. For the first time since I knew her, the coffin was not on her head. Seeing her, that made me uncomfortable. She suddenly looked less frightening and more like someone who had once been normal, someone who once had a life. "Bring the coffin," one of the men said. Another man dragged a rough wooden coffin from behind a tree. "We found it close to where her body was lying," he explained. "Maybe it was the same one she used to carry." I moved closer. I didn't know why, but something inside me felt uneasy. The men opened the coffin and prepared to place her body inside. Just as I stepped forward to look, my heart nearly stopped. My eyes froze on the writing scratched across the coffin lid. The same messy handwriting, the same black charcoal marks, and the same terrifying words. "Precious, this is for you." My legs suddenly became weak. My breathing turned heavy. This was not the broken coffin my father destroyed. This was another one, a completely different coffin. Yet, the same message was written on it. I dropped to my knees. A loud scream escaped from my throat. Everyone turned to look at me. "What happened?" one of the men asked. My voice trembled as I pointed to the coffin. "Whose coffin is that?" The man shrugged. "We just found it near her body." I swallowed hard. "Do you know her real name?" They all shook their heads. No one knows," another man replied. "She was just a mad woman. Does she have any children? Maybe someone named Precious? Again, they shook their heads. No. The ground beneath my feet suddenly felt unstable. My hands started shaking. The same terrifying question returned to my mind. If this coffin was not hers, and it had my name on it, then who was it really meant for? I left the burial site almost immediately. My heart was pounding so loudly that I could hear it in my ears. The afternoon sun was shining brightly, yet I felt strangely cold. All the way home, one thought kept repeating in my mind. How did another coffin with my name appear again? My father had already destroyed the first one, so who made the second? And why was it found beside the madwoman's body? When I reached our compound, my mother was in the kitchen. She noticed my pale face immediately. Precious, what happened to you? I sat down slowly. Mommy, yes, they buried that madwoman today. Yes, I heard, but something happened there. What happened? I asked nervously. I hesitated. Then I told her everything. About the coffin they found near her body, about the words written across it, about the same message, Precious, this is for you. My mother's face slowly turned pale. For the first time since this whole matter started, she did not shout. She did not dismiss it. Instead, she sat down quietly beside me. This is not ordinary, she whispered. I felt fear tightening inside my chest. Mommy, what do you think it means? She was silent for a long time. Then she spoke in a low voice. In this world, my daughter, there are things we cannot explain. My heart sank. You mean this is spiritual? She did not answer immediately. Instead, she looked towards the door, as if making sure no one else could hear. Then she said something that made my skin crawl. When a mad person speaks, sometimes they are not the one speaking. My body froze. What do you mean? Sometimes, she continued slowly, mad people see things normal people cannot see. A chill ran down my spine. But she's dead now, I said quickly. Yes, my mother replied, but the message she left behind, she looked straight into my eyes, is still alive. That night, sleep refused to come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the coffin and the charcoal words written across it. Precious, this is for you. Then, sometime after midnight, just when I was finally drifting into sleep, I heard something outside. A sound. A slow, dragging sound, like wood scraping against the ground. My eyes opened immediately. My heart began to race. Slowly, carefully, I sat up on my bed. Then I heard it again. Drag, drag, drag. The sound was slow, heavy, like something wooden being pulled across the ground. My throat suddenly felt dry. Slowly, carefully, I got down from my bed and walked towards the window. My hands were shaking. For a moment, I hesitated. Part of me didn't want to look, but curiosity and fear pushed me forward. I carefully moved the curtain aside and peeped through the window. Outside, the street light near our gate flickered weakly. The compound was dim. For a few seconds, I saw nothing, just the quiet road and the shadow of our gate. Then suddenly, something moved. My heart jumped. I looked again, and there, right in front of our gate, was a long wooden sheep lying on the ground. My eyes widened. It looked like a coffin. I gasped and quickly stepped back from the window. No, no, no. My hands covered my mouth. How could a coffin appear there again? The madwoman was already buried. So who brought it? Or worse, what brought it? Fear crawled through my entire body. I wanted to wake my parents, but something stopped me. Maybe it was my imagination. Maybe it was just something else lying on the ground. Maybe I was overreacting. Slowly, I gathered courage and went back to the window. This time, I looked carefully, but the place was empty. There was nothing there. No coffin, no movement, just the quiet street. I blinked several times, confused. Did I really see something there, or was my mind playing tricks on me? I returned to my bed, but sleep refused to come. Every small sound made my body jump. Every shadow looked suspicious. And deep inside my mind, one frightening thought kept whispering. What if the mad woman's warning had not ended with her death? The next morning, I woke up feeling exhausted. My eyes were heavy and my head felt cloudy. At breakfast, my father noticed immediately. Precious, you look tired. Did you not sleep well? I forced a small smile. I'm fine, Daddy. But I knew I wasn't. My mind kept replaying the strange events from the night before. The dragging sound, the coffin-shaped shadow, and the sudden disappearance. Later that afternoon, something unexpected happened. A woman came to our compound asking questions about the mad woman. She was a middle-aged woman wearing a faded wrapper and carrying a small bag. My mother welcomed her politely. Yes, madam, what can we do for you? The woman looked nervous. I heard that a mad woman who used to carry a coffin died around the street. My heart skipped when I heard that. Yes, my mother replied. She died 2 days ago. The woman sighed deeply. Then she said something that shocked all of us. That woman was not always mad. My mother frowned. What do you mean? The woman sat down slowly. I knew her many years ago. The entire room suddenly became quiet. Her name was Mama Ekaite. The woman continued. She used to be a normal woman. My father leaned forward. What happened to her? The woman hesitated. Then she spoke in a low voice. Many years ago, her only daughter died. My chest tightened. According to people in her village, she continued, the girl died mysteriously. After the burial, Mama Ekaite began behaving strangely. She stopped speaking to people, she stopped eating normally, and then one day she disappeared. When she came back weeks later, the woman said quietly she was carrying a small coffin. My mother looked shocked. Since then, she added, she started wandering from place to place with the coffin. But that is not the strangest part. The room became completely silent. The woman lowered her voice even further. People say before someone dies, Mama Ekaite sometimes tells them something. A chill ran down my spine. My father frowned. What kind of thing? The woman looked directly at me and said slowly, she tells them that it is their turn to enter the coffin. The air in the room suddenly felt heavy. My hands began to tremble again.
Because now, everything suddenly felt more real, more dangerous, and far more terrifying. The woman stood up and adjusted her bag. If she told someone that message, she paused. People in the village believed it meant death was coming. My mother quickly crossed herself. God forbid. But the woman looked serious. Then she said the one sentence that made my blood run cold. But sometimes, the message is not a curse. My father looked confused. What do you mean? The woman slowly walked toward the door. Then she said quietly, sometimes the coffin she carries is not meant to kill someone. She turned back and looked at me. Sometimes it is meant to warn them. And with that, she left, leaving behind a silence that felt heavier than fear. Because now I was left with a question that frightened me more than anything else. If the coffin was a warning, then what exactly was I supposed to be warned about? After the strange woman left our house that day, the entire atmosphere in the compound changed. Nobody said much during dinner. My father tried to behave normally, but I could tell he was thinking deeply about what he had heard. My mother kept muttering quiet prayers under her breath. And as for me, my mind refused to settle. That night, I went to bed earlier than usual, hoping sleep would help me forget everything. But sleep did not come easily. The room felt unusually cold. The ceiling fan turned slowly above my head, making a soft ticking sound. I kept turning from one side of the bed to the other. Eventually, exhaustion pulled me into sleep. But what came next was not rest. It was a dream. In the dream, I was standing alone in the middle of our street. Everything looked strange. The sky was dark, the shops were closed, no cars, no people, no sound. The street that was always full of life now looked empty and lifeless. Then suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. Slow footsteps. Tap, tap, tap. My heart began to beat faster. I turned slowly, and there she was, the mad woman, standing a few steps away from me. Her clothes were still torn, her hair was still tangled, but this time, she looked different. Her face looked calm, almost peaceful. And on her head was the coffin, the same coffin. She slowly walked toward me, each step echoing in the silent street. My legs refused to move. I wanted to run, but my body felt frozen. When she finally stopped in front of me, she slowly removed the coffin from her head and placed it on the ground between us. Then she looked directly into my eyes. "Precious," she said softly. Her voice sounded clearer than before, not like the voice of a madwoman. But you are dead," I whispered. She ignored my words. Instead, she pointed at the coffin. "Open it." My heart pounded violently. I can't." "Open it," she repeated. Her voice was calm but firm. Slowly, my shaking hands moved toward the coffin lid. As I lifted it open, I screamed. Inside the coffin was me, my own body, lying still, eyes closed, like someone already dead. I fell backwards in fear. "What is happening?" I cried. The mad woman looked at me quietly. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "This coffin is not for your death." She paused. "It is for the death that is following you." Before I could ask what she meant, the dream shattered. I woke up suddenly. My body was covered in sweat. My heart was racing like someone who had just escaped danger. For several seconds, I couldn't move. Then slowly, I realized something terrifying. The dream felt too real, almost like it wasn't just a dream. The next morning, I told my mother about the dream. She listened quietly without interrupting. When I finished, she sighed deeply. "Dreams sometimes carry messages," she said, "but we must be careful how we interpret them." "But Mommy," I said nervously, "she said the coffin is not for my death." My mother frowned. Then what death is she talking about? That question stayed in my mind the entire day. Later that afternoon, something unexpected happened again. As I was returning from school, I saw an elderly man standing near our compound gate. He looked like a traditional elder from a nearby village. He wore a simple white wrapper and held a walking stick. When he saw me, he called out, "Are you the one called Precious?" "Yes, sir." He nodded slowly. "I came to speak to your parents." Curiosity filled my mind. When we entered the house, my father greeted him respectfully. The old man introduced himself as Papa Okorie, one of the elders from a nearby village. Then he said something that immediately caught everyone's attention. "I heard about the woman who used to carry the coffin." My father nodded. "Yes, she died recently." Papa Okorie shook his head slowly. That woman was not ordinary. The room fell silent again. "She once came to my village many years ago," he continued. "People thought she was mad then too. But one night," he paused, "she warned a young man that danger was coming for him." My chest tightened. "What happened?" my father asked. "The young man ignored her." Papa Kore's voice became heavier. "A few days later, he was killed during a robbery attack." My mother gasped quietly. "But there was another man," the old man continued. "She warned him as well." "And what happened to him?" I asked nervously. "He listened, and because he listened, he survived." The room became silent again. Then Papa Okore looked directly at me. "Young girl," he said calmly, "you should not see that message as a curse." My heart pounded again. Then what is it? The old man's voice became very serious. It is a warning. A warning that something dangerous is coming for you. My entire body felt cold. What kind of danger? My father quickly asked. Papa Kure shook his head slowly. That is what we must find out. After Papa Kure left our house that evening, the entire compound felt different. The air seemed heavier. Even the usual sounds of the busy street outside could not distract my mind. His words kept repeating in my head. The coffin is a warning. Something dangerous is coming for you. But what danger? Who would want to harm me? I was just a normal student living a quiet life. That night, my father became unusually protective. From today, he said firmly, you will not walk alone again. But Daddy, no arguments, he interrupted. If that mad woman's message is truly a warning, we are not going to ignore it. My mother agreed. For now, your father will drop you at school and bring you back home. I nodded silently. Part of me felt safe, but another part of me felt uneasy. Because deep down, I still didn't understand what exactly I was being protected from. 2 days passed quietly. Nothing strange happened. I began to think maybe everything was just a misunderstanding. Maybe Papa Okorie was simply trying to scare us. But on the third day, something happened that changed everything. That afternoon, my father dropped me at school as usual. My lectures ended around 3 p.m. While walking toward the school gate, I noticed something strange. A black car was parked across the road. At first, I didn't pay attention, but as I continued walking, the car engine started. Slowly, the vehicle began moving behind me. My heart skipped. Maybe it was just coincidence, but as I turned left at the next junction, the car turned too. Now, my heart began to beat faster. I quickened my steps. The car moved faster. Then suddenly, the car accelerated directly toward me. I heard someone scream, "Watch out!" My eyes widened. The vehicle was rushing straight at me. For a second, my body froze in fear. Then someone grabbed my arm violently and pulled me aside. The car sped past me at full speed and disappeared down the road. My heart was racing wildly. I turned to see who had saved me. It was Delight. She was breathing heavily. "Are you okay?" she asked. I nodded slowly, but my entire body was shaking. Because in that moment, I realized something terrifying. That was not an accident. Someone had just tried to kill me. That evening, when I got home, I told my parents everything. My father immediately became furious. "This is serious," he said. "That driver did not lose control. He aimed at you." My mother looked frightened. But who would want to harm our daughter? That was the same question in my mind. Who would want me dead? I had no enemies. I had never fought with anyone. But Papa Okore's words suddenly returned to my memory. The coffin is a warning. Danger is coming. My father reported the incident to the local security office the next day. Unfortunately, no one could identify the car. There were no cameras on that road, and nobody had seen the driver clearly. But one thing was certain. Someone had tried to kill me. That night, as we sat quietly in the living room, my mother suddenly spoke. "There is something I have not told you." My father and I looked at her. "What is it?" my father asked. She hesitated. Then she said slowly, "Precious, you may not remember this because you were very young." My heart started beating again. "Remember what?" My mother took a deep breath. "About 20 years ago, something terrible happened in our family." My father shifted uncomfortably, but he did not interrupt her. "There was once a woman who worked for our family, a housemaid." My stomach tightened. "One day," my mother continued, "we discovered that she had been stealing money from the house.
When my father confronted her, she became very angry. My father nodded slowly. I remember, he said quietly. She left the house that day, swearing that we would regret it. My mother's voice became softer. She said that one day, something precious to us would be taken away. The room suddenly became very quiet. Then, slowly, my mother looked directly at me. And you are the only precious thing we have. A chill ran through my body. Was it possible that the past had come back to haunt our family? That night, none of us slept well. The story my mother told had opened a door to a past I never knew existed. Who was that woman? Where was she now? And could she really be behind the attempt on my life? The next morning, my father decided to visit Papa Okore again. When he returned in the evening, his face looked serious. What did he say? My mother immediately asked. My father sat down slowly. Papa Okore says the warning from the mad woman is still unfolding. My heart tightened. What does that mean? He said we must find the person whose anger is connected to you. But how? My mother asked. My father hesitated. Then he said something unexpected. Papa Okore asked for the name of the housemaid. My mother froze. I haven't thought about her in years, she said quietly. What was her name? My father insisted. My mother closed her eyes, trying to remember. Then slowly, she opened them again. Her name was... She paused. Ekaite. The moment that name left my mouth, my heart nearly stopped. Because suddenly, I remembered something. The woman who came to our house earlier, the woman who told us about the mad woman's past, she had said something. Something that now echoed loudly in my mind. Her name was Mama Ekaite. My hands began to tremble. Could it be possible? Could the mad woman with the coffin be the same housemaid who once walked in our home? If that was true, then the warning she gave me was not just random. It was connected to something much deeper, something buried in our family's past. And suddenly, the coffin message began to feel even more terrifying. Because if the mad woman truly knew my family, then the danger she warned me about might already be very close. After hearing the name Ekaite, my parents sat in silence for a long time. The connection was now impossible to ignore. The mad woman who had wandered our streets with a coffin and the former housemaid who once worked in our home, they were the same person. But one question still remained. If Mama Ekaite had become mad, why did she come back to warn me? The next day, my father invited Papa Okore again. When the old man arrived, my mother told him everything about the housemaid, about how she was caught stealing, about how she left the house angrily, and about the terrible words she spoke before leaving. Papa Okore listened carefully. When she finished, he nodded slowly. That explains everything, he said. My father frowned. What do you mean? The old man leant forward. In many African traditions, when someone carries deep pain and injustice for many years, their spirit becomes restless. But this woman did not only carry anger, she carried loss. He explained that Mama Ekaite's daughter had died mysteriously many years ago. After that tragedy, her mind slowly broke. She began wandering from place to place, carrying a coffin that symbolized the child she lost. But something else also happened. People like her sometimes develop strange spiritual awareness. They see danger before it happens. My heart began beating faster. Then why did she warn me? I asked. The old man looked at me carefully. Because, despite what happened between your families, she did not hate you. My mother's eyes widened. What? Papa Okore nodded. The anger she had was towards your parents, but you were innocent. My chest tightened. But if she was warning me, I asked, what exactly was the danger? The old man's voice became serious. The person who wants to harm you is connected to Mama Ekaite. The room became quiet. My father spoke slowly. You mean someone from her family? Papa Okore nodded. She had a younger sister, a woman who believed your family destroyed Mama Ekaite's life. A cold fear ran down my spine. And that woman has been searching for revenge for many years. My mother gasped. You mean? Yes, the old man said. She believes harming your daughter will balance the pain her sister suffered. Suddenly, everything made sense. The mysterious car, the attempt on my life, the warning from the coffin. The mad woman was not threatening me. She was trying to save me. But the most shocking part was still to come. That evening, Papa Okore gave us one final warning. He said, the danger is not over yet. The person seeking revenge may try again. My father immediately arranged for security around the house. For several weeks, life became very cautious. I stopped walking alone. My father monitored everything carefully. And slowly, the fear began to fade. No more suspicious cars appeared. No strange events happened again. It was as if the danger had quietly disappeared. Then one evening, something unexpected happened. A letter arrived at our gate. There was no sender name, just a plain envelope. My father opened it carefully. Inside was a short handwritten message. It read, the debt between our families is finished. Mama Ekaite has been buried. The coffin has done its work. There was no signature, but Papa Okore later explained what it meant. Mama Ekaite had not carried the coffin to curse people. She carried it to warn those standing close to death. Some ignored the warning and they died. But some listened and their lives were saved. In my case, the coffin had saved my life. Because if the mad woman had not warned me, we would never have known someone was planning to harm me. Years later, whenever I remember that strange woman walking through the street with a coffin on her head, I no longer feel fear. Instead, I feel something else. Respect. Because sometimes the people the world calls mad are not truly mad. Sometimes they are simply carrying pain the world refused to understand. And sometimes they are the only ones who can see danger before it arrives. If this story touched you, please share it, subscribe, and join our community for more stories that matter. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.
So tell me, what lessons have you actually learned? I would really love to see your comments in the comment section down below. And remember to support this channel. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Just say something. Tell me, where are you watching from and which part of the story touched you the most? I would love to see all in the comment section below.